Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jake Line Connect here, and this time joining me, Assistant Coach Zach Stepan. Coach Jennings over in Top Prospects. Central team in action Monday at 3 and against the South, Tuesday at 11:30. And those times are Central. Coach, let's go right into the weekend here, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, a 3-1 win on Friday. A really complete, well-rounded game, it seemed to me, from goaltending to the penalty kill, power play goal, even a well-timed fight that kind of had an old-school feel to it. What were your thoughts as a staff on Friday night's matchup?
I think as we've been building and the details that we've been trying to get the guys to be consistent about is starting to come around, and I think that they were resulted in not only the win Friday night, but just the complete game of it. I think everyone in that game, both on the bench and with the staff, felt very comfortable that we were in a good spot to win that hockey game just with how we were playing, and it was good to see the kids get the results.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're moving on to Saturday, a 4-3 loss, split with Minot over the weekend. A couple of breakdowns, really the difference in that one, and maybe some missed opportunities on the power play, but a pretty evenly matched game. A third period that I felt like the tempo really kind of slowed down a little bit, but a big push towards the end of the third there, and made for a pretty exciting finish, that's for sure. What did you guys think of Saturday?
I still think actually the consistency of what we've been trying to build was still there. I think a couple of things, like you talk about the third period, right? And that turned into more of a shutdown. Who's going to make the first mistake?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, like from the power play, even to 5-on-5 and even 6-on-5, like there were chances for us to tie that game up. And whether it was missed nets, Nielsen hit the post on the power play, different things that way. We had opportunities, and we're at that point in the season where we got to find a way to bear down and bury those. Yeah.
Overall, though, a pretty solid weekend, and as far as the growth goes and so on, as you mentioned, that's something that Coach Jennings and I talk about pretty regularly, is the consistency, and to see some of that this weekend was definitely promising. Last week, I think it was, we talked about energy points and energy stats, and something that doesn't necessarily show up on a sheet. And I had someone ask me about that a little bit, and I was like, wait, how do I explain this? I mean, it's everything from hits, and it's a little bit of everything. Can you kind of explain what you're looking at when you're looking at a team's energy stats?
Yeah, so I guess a lot of people look at it, and it's actually technically called hits with what we're looking for, but we like to call it bumps. And what that basically is if you're within a stick length of somebody who has the puck on their stick, you get a touch. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're expecting these kids to try to run over everyone every time.
Right.
But every time you get a touch on somebody, that means you're closer to our net than they are.
Right.
And so as we keep building and we get those types of touches, we always know we're in a good defensive position, and that's kind of what the basic of that is. Flybys are going at somebody and then letting them off the hook by not touching them, so that actually detracts from the total energy, and then you have block shots, which adds back to the energy. So the bumps or hits, if you want to call it, is the most probably promising part of it.
Sure.
Because every time you do it, it means you're on the defensive side of the puck and the defensive side of your man. And
block shots a big component there too, like you mentioned, and we saw a lot of that this weekend too. I saw guys stepping into some pretty big shots, and
Absolutely.
I know saw Hugo Allais and Nielsen, a lot of guys that were able to take one for the team, so to speak. Well, Coach, we broke down the weekend. Again, great to see that growth. You come away with some points. We'll run through standings here in just a moment. But, with Coach Jennings gone today and tomorrow and then traveling midweek, how does that change things up for you as a team and as a coach? How do you prepare?
I don't think really anything changes. The only thing that, from a preparation standpoint, is all of that's going to be the same. Like, you could tell last week in practice, the vibe was just different.
Yeah.
It was harder, it was faster, it was more buy-in. And I think we flipped that switch a little bit last week, and it went into the weekend why our energy was so high, and we put ourselves in a position to win both those games. So we got to continue the consistency of the preparation and practice, not only preparation of games.
Right.
But with me being here this week and Coach Jennings being gone, we'll throw a couple of different drills in there too to keep it fresh for the guys, and try to continue the compete factor, but maybe get some different looks on it.
Sure. What do you attribute that to? What do you suppose the vibe? Why was it different? Would you say?
I think you can look at it a couple ways. One is the reality of we're in our last 20 games or 22 games or whatever it is, and it's crunch time. You look at the standings, and no night's going to be free. And I think the other piece of it is just the understanding factor too. Like guys are starting to see how important it is to get to that point energy-wise every night, and it doesn't even guarantee you the win, but it puts you in a spot to win every night. And I think they started to notice it during our so-called skid. Is we weren't even putting ourselves in spots to win games because our energy was low. And so I think they're starting to buy in just because they're starting to understand what it means and how important it is.
Great to hear that. Kind of changes things up, too, with 3 players being gone and having played 2 games, well, be actually Friday, Saturday, and they have Sunday off, but then they play Monday, Tuesday, back to action, travel, all that stuff changes things for those guys, too. Does it change the way you prepare, knowing that those guys have seen a lot of minutes?
Yeah, I don't think it changes the way we prepare in the locker room. It's our job to make sure that we're ready for when those guys come back.
Right.
And then, that's also 3 extreme vets that we're talking about that are going to be able to still be effective when they come back. Jackson is probably one of the most consistent in the way he plays. Boss brings the speed, so he's just got to make sure he's taking care of his legs. And then you got McKay, who's steady Eddie on the back end. So from the types of players that we have out there, no, we're not going to have any issues with them coming back and be able to go right back to where they started.
Great. Probably some teams out there that can't say that same thing either. It kind of depends upon the kind and style of player, I would imagine.
Yep.
Well, standings, Austin right now in first place in the Central Division with 49 points. St. Cloud has 47 points. Then the Wings with 43, North Iowa with 43, and Minot with 43. Again, that all comes down to the win percentages and tiebreakers. St. Cloud has a bunch of games in hand on most teams, and then Bismarck at the bottom of the division with 33 points. They were on a little bit of a run for a while there, but struggled over the weekend here this last weekend. North Iowa comes back to the ODI Center this coming week. Now, this is a team that you've seen on several occasions now and have had some pretty good success against them. When we talk preparation, what are some of the tendencies and so on that you see from this team? What do you expect from them?
That's a team that's opportunistic.
Yeah.
They got a lot of skill and a lot of speed on that team, and they can catch you sleeping really, really fast. And so as they continue to build, and they've made some moves, and so they're continuing to build just like everyone else in our division. You have Minot that's made some moves to go on a run. We've made some moves getting Castro, and so everyone's trying to make that 1 or 2 moves to push them over the top, and so it's going to be no different with North Iowa this weekend. And we talk about the consistency of the way we played last weekend. I think chances, you look at the goals of last weekend, maybe Saturday night, you're like, well, there was 4 goals, and it's like, well, let's look at the chances that were created by the other team, and it was we've started to do a better job of limiting those chances.
Right.
From the standpoint of, they might have scored 4 goals, but they didn't get 20 chances. They only got 10, or this, that, the other thing. So if we can bring that consistency to North Iowa and keep them from springing those chances, I think that'll put us in a good spot to be in a spot to win.
Well, and on the flip side of that, last time you saw them, I think there was like 45 shots on goal one night, 41, and some very good scoring chances. So, that's something too, I think, offensively that you guys did a really good job of. I would imagine that would be an important part too, huh?
Yes, for sure. The more we run downhill and we're getting those types of opportunities, and not just opportunities from the outside, but getting inside the house, which I thought we did a good job of in North Iowa. And I'll give Garvey a lot of credit. Like, he played well that weekend too, right? So, but it puts us in a spot where if we're continuing to do that every night, more good things are going to happen for you than bad things. It's when you get inconsistent on that, and then you hope you're not only doing it the one night, but you're also being able to score the one night. Yeah. That's where it starts to get tricky. For sure.
And like Coach Jennings and I have talked about too, with North Iowa, they are a team that will take chances that you can take advantage of sometimes, but you've got to stay on your toes because they can burn you, like you said.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coach, that's about all I've got for you. Once again, I appreciate you joining us on the show here, though, and best of luck coming up against North Iowa.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll return with our second portion of Wings Weekly coming up after this.
We raise the bar on bar food with sandwiches, tenders, and burgers. There's more where this came from. To the greatest of all times.
Welcome back as Wings Weekly continues, and as usual, a player is joining me. This time it is Luke Amell of Mars, Pennsylvania. And Luke, I just found out that Mars is right next to Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, where the top prospects is being held. That's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes from where I live.
Wow, I did not realize that. That's pretty cool, though. And it's a fairly smaller town in western Pennsylvania, huh?
Yeah.
So coming to a town with 27,000, 28,000 people, it wasn't like, man, this town's got nothing to it, because some of the guys coming from these big cities, they're probably a little bit shocked when they come to Aberdeen. What were your first impressions?
Yeah, well, it's a lot smaller of a town than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I knew right away whenever I was coming in here that it would be a great fit for me, and that everyone was like, it's a close-knit town, and yeah, it would just be a great spot for me to play.
Excellent. Well, generally, right about now is when I would ask how you got started playing hockey, and how, if there was somebody in your family that maybe was an inspiration or something like that. Your case is a little different, though, because your dad, Derek, I had a chance to meet, too, by the way, really nice guy. He is an NHL linesman who has worked the Cup Finals, Stanley Cup Finals 8 times, and was Sochi Olympics also, worked some really cool games. So I imagine that was a huge part of your interest in hockey and how you got into the sport.
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate to have that. Whenever I was younger, he would take my sister and I to the Pens games. And basically, whenever I was 3 years old, he would teach me how to skate and stuff, and that kind of just transitioned into me playing hockey.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a huge ace up your sleeve, so to speak, to have that. Not just to have somebody who knows the game inside and out mentally, but understands it emotionally, understands the physicality of it, the skating, all those kinds of things.
Sure.
That's a huge piece. So that's awesome for you to have that. All right. Well, I wanted to ask you about your favorite hockey memory. Whether you, like you mentioned, probably some huge opportunities, with your dad and so on. But also, you play AAA with Esmark Stars and the Pittsburgh Penguin Elite. Might be something in your career, or maybe some other memory, I guess, that kind of is centric around the sport. What would you say your favorite hockey memory is?
Yeah, well, last year we got to go to the U.S. National Championships, my team last year, for Pittsburgh Penguins Elite. But overall in hockey, I'd just say my dad's 1,500th game. It was a very cool experience. We got to go on the ice and, meet Crosby and Ovechkin. And just had a whole ceremony for him, so it was really cool.
That is really cool. Not everybody can say that for sure. All right, well, what do you do when you're not in the locker room, not lifting weights, not working out, not playing games or anything around hockey? Do you have any hobbies or interests or anything that you like to do?
Yeah, fishing. I enjoy fishing and just hanging out with my friends. I have a cabin up in New York that I like to go to with my friends, and we just boat and hang by the fire and just have a good time. Listen to music. Yeah.
I'm curious, what kind of fish do you catch on the eastern part of the, like around here we have like northern pike and perch and walleye and stuff like that. What kind of fish do you guys have there? Is it about kind of the same?
Yeah, kind of. They have muskie. It's a big musky lake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just smallmouth bass and walleye. Just same around here.
Have you ever caught a muskie?
Personally, no. My dad has quite a few times, but yeah, I'm not the best at fishing.
I have seen some pictures of those things, and they are huge. They are like a big northern pike around here on steroids, like 3 times over. And there are some muskie around here, but I've never caught one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, how about since we're talking interests and hobbies or whatever, what would you say are your top 3 movies, your favorite all-time movies? What would they be?
I have to say A Miracle on Ice, of
Excellent
course.
Choice.
Happy Gilmore is definitely, and Saving Private Ryan probably. I'm into war movies, so I like those ones.
Saving Private Ryan is a movie that every time it's on, like if I'm flipping channels, it's on, I'm watching it. Like I've seen it many times, but I love that show. Great show. I know some people though that it's a little graphic.
Yes, yeah, it is, but I like that stuff, I guess you could say.
Right on. Okay, so there's a follow-up question here that's kind of related to it. And it doesn't have to be one of these 3 either, or the 3 that you mentioned, but would you say that there's a movie that you could watch over and over again and never get sick of? It doesn't have to even be one of your favorites, but it's just one that's kind of entertaining or whatever. What would you say that one would be?
I wouldn't say a movie. I can watch The Office, the show, over and over. You can pick up anywhere in the show and just watch it anywhere. It's really funny too. So I love that one. I'm
with you down there. There's another one where I'm flipping channels. If The Office is on, it's going to stay there. Well, okay, so now I have to ask you about game day traditions and superstitions. Are you a superstitious guy?
No, I'm not a very superstitious guy. I mean, I just come to the rink, do my normal thing, tape my stick, chill out.
Sure.
go upstairs, do warm-ups, and then just try to get ready for the game mentally.
I was definitely expecting it. I'm not superstitious, just a little stitious from the office. Yeah. All right, I got a couple goofy questions here for you. Would you rather work a boring but secure job where you're guaranteed to make good money or same money, but it's not exactly a thrilling kind of gig, or would you rather risk adventure and not really know what kind of money you're going to make, or even that you might not even have a job the next day? It's not nearly as secure, but it's adventurous and fun.
Probably just take the risk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a risk taker, I think you could say. So I don't know. It's just I like trying to do new stuff.
Sure.
And yeah, I feel like that would be really fun.
Excellent. All right. Would you rather master one language in addition to English, of course, so a foreign language, and just be completely fluent with that language, or know just a little bit of 3 others?
I think just master.
Yeah?
Yeah, master. I feel like that'd just be really cool to like talk to everyone and just understand what everyone's saying. And, like if you're just somewhere and someone's like talking in another language maybe about you, you could just like, just be there and listening to them and they don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
I actually saw a TikTok the other day of this kid went into this Nigerian store, and they're over there talking back and forth. He turns around and starts talking to them, and they're like, where's this white kid coming in here? How does he know how to speak Nigerian? Mm-hmm. And they were just blown away by it. I thought that was it was pretty funny. Okay, would you rather not read anything or have no social media for 1 year? You got to give one of them up, reading or social media. What's it going to be?
I don't read a lot, but yeah, I'd probably just give up reading.
Yeah.
I don't know. Social media is just something that like it's in all of our lives today.
Yeah.
It's just something that I don't know. I wouldn't want to give up.
Big part of today's society for sure. All right, final one of these goofy questions here. Who in this locker room, look around all the cubbies and stuff, what one of these players are you giving a satchel of your money to? $1 million, you've got a briefcase of $1 million, and you're going to trust one of these guys to watch it, hang on to it, not lose it, not spend it, not anything. Who's it going to be?
I have to say Kevin McKay.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a pretty quiet kid, but just, I don't know, I trust him, and I feel like he'd do the right thing with it.
Nice. Probably doesn't hurt that he's another D-man too.
Yeah, true.
I wanted to ask you about that when we were talking about taking risks and stuff, and yet defensemen oftentimes are a little bit more, how do I want to say that? They're a little bit more safe in a lot of ways because they have to be, because that's the way the position is. When did you start playing defenseman, and what is your favorite part about that position?
Well, I was growing up, I really played forward.
Yeah.
And then my dad kind of like told me, you want to try out D, and I tried it out and I liked it. And my favorite part about it would probably just be taking the puck away from forwards. They tend to get pretty mad when you do that. It's pretty funny whenever they get all mad and rattled about it.
Well, that's funny you say that because you're a really nice guy and mild-mannered and stuff. But when I watch you play, I've noticed a handful of occasions where you've got some grit there too. You got a little sandpaper to your game, and can get kind of heated with guys sometimes. What would you say is that? I don't know how to put this exactly, but how big of a challenge is it to keep your emotions in check when you're in a game? Because man, it's a very passionate, heated game.
Yes.
How hard is it? On a scale like 1 to 10, are you like, man, I just, or is that something that you guys have taught yourselves that okay, this is the level to be at?
Definitely. Whenever I was younger, it was a lot harder.
Yeah.
I tend to take much stupider penalties about it whenever I would get mad, but yeah, I'd say it's pretty easy to keep your emotions, or like if you're on the bench, you settle down and then go back out there and just hit a guy or something. It tends to carry off and they tend to go away.
All right. Okay, well, moving on, we've got North Iowa once again. Saw them a couple weeks ago. You guys have seen this team a handful of times, like I was just talking with Coach Steps about, that this is a team that takes some risks, and that kind of puts some weight, so to speak, on the defenseman's position because they can hurt you. What do you have to do you think, as a team to come away with some wins here this weekend at the ODI Center? Yeah,
like Coach said, they're a very opportunistic team. So for us, we just need to play behind their D, get pucks low, pressure hard, use our physical size and stuff like that, and it'll all pay off for us.
Excellent. Like that analysis. All right. Well, before we get going any further here, does anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just my mom and dad, hello, and my sister, and yeah, that's
excellent.
My dog Gus, yeah, I miss you.
Gus is watching and going, hey, I hear that voice. I know that voice. All right, well, let's see. This Wings, of course, back in action this weekend at the Odie, like we just talked about with North Iowa Bulls. The doors open at 5:30 both nights, and puck hits the ice at 7:15. Friday night, it's Nurses Night. Any area nurses can show their ID at the door for a $5 general admission ticket to the game. We welcome Nutrient Egg Solutions as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. Stay in your seats during the first intermission for a termite scrimmage. Saturday, bring your sweetheart to the game and celebrate Valentine's Day early with us. Buy one general admission ticket at regular price at the door and get a second ticket for just $5. We welcome Boy Scout Troop 359 as the game's color guard and our special guests inside the Automax Party Deck. We also welcome Siouxland Lightning Sled Hockey to Aberdeen on Saturday. Fans can try sled hockey for free from 4:30 to 6:30 Saturday inside the Holom Expo building. Fans will also be treated to a demonstration during first intermission Saturday and a live scrimmage immediately following the game. Get your tickets ahead of the game online at tickets.aberdeenwings.com or at the door on game night. $10 general admission tickets are also available at any C Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase. A few corporate night sponsorships are still available. Call for 2022. Call Aaron at 380-5852 to see what's open. Don't forget, Wings Weekly is now a podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. All right. Well, once again, Luke Amell of Mars, Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Been a pleasure. All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.